Hello to all of you from around the world. I want to thank you for joining us for this edition of Soulivity Today. We are broadcasting live from our studio right here in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., and on KMET 1490 AM radio in Southern California. My name is Brian Westley Johnson. I'm so glad you're here. And whether or not you're at home, driving, or even at work, of course, we are always glad you're here with us. We have another amazing show for you today as we look at some of the top stories in health and wellness for another Wellness Wednesday. And it's going to be a good one because we've got a lot of great stories for you today. In fact, let's get to the first one. February is American Heart Month, a time when all people, especially women, to be encouraged to focus on their cardiovascular health. Now, one important health technique everyone needs to learn is CPR, which is critical in saving lives when the heart has stopped for various reasons. Let's learn more from WFMY News 2.
February is American Heart Month. According to the American Heart Association, heart disease is the leading cause of death in the United States for both men and women. The association emphasizes the critical role CPR training plays in saving lives during cardiac emergencies. Kim Bass is the president and CEO of CPR for Your Heart. She is also an American Heart Association certified instructor. Good morning, Kim. Thanks so much for joining us. So let's get right to it. What is CPR and why is it important to learn it?
So CPR is cardiopulmonary resuscitation. It is very important to learn it and to recognize that someone needs it, because when you start compressions, you are actually giving the victim a better chance of survival by keeping their blood pressure up, and you're circulating that blood throughout the body. So as long as you can do that until EMS or somebody gets there to relieve you, that is really important. That's what our goal is, to help our victim have a better chance of survival.
Awesome. So the American Heart Association, what do you all have coming up so folks can learn how to save a life?
Okay, so the AHA, it's a big month for the AHA, Heart Month and all of that. So they have a new initiative called Nation of Lifesavers. So you can go to the American Heart Association website. It's ecards.heart.org/CPR. Or you can call us at CPR for Your Heart. I believe that information will be somewhere. But also, they also have a new initiative called Empower to Serve. So we have been charged with touching at least 1,500 lives in the Triad area and offering them 3 different modules on CPR and AED, stop the bleed, and opioid crisis. Those things are free, so we're trying to get that out in the community. So if you're a community leader and you have access to a lot of people, we would be glad to help train you so that you can train other people how to do these life-saving skills.
Yeah, that is fantastic. So you brought some mannequins here to teach us how to do CPR. I'm going to bring my good friend Eric Chilton in. So what do we need to do first?
So first of all, you need to recognize that there's an emergency.
Okay.
So someone's on the ground. The first thing you should do is make sure it's safe for you to approach, because a lot of things could be going on other than just that person's on the ground.
Okay.
So once it's safe, you're going to approach the mannequin. I call him Fred, so.
Fred.
We're going to approach Fred, and I'm going to get down here and show y'all how. You want me to do that?
Yes.
Okay. So I want you to take this part of your hand right here, and this is real important. You're going to find the center of the chest. To do that, you can take 4 fingers and find Fred's underarm and lay your hand down flat. Pull it straight across, and when you feel that part of your hand start to dip, you're right where you need to be, the center of the chest, center mid-nipple line. Okay? Take your other hand and clasp your fingers, straighten your elbows up, keep them locked, put your shoulders over the victim, and push hard and fast. You're going to count out loud because that'll help you keep the beat of where you need to be. You can also break out into song and sing Staying Alive or Baby Shark or something like that. So now we're going to push hard and fast at a rate of 100 to 120 a minute, and we're going to go at least 2 inches deep, and it's going to look like this. Y'all ready?
Yep.
Okay, count out loud. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So you would continue to do that until someone else comes to relieve you, EMS shows up, You do not have to give breaths unless you have the equipment to do so, or you feel comfortable giving mouth to mouth.
It's harder than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
You have to push harder than I
Yes,
thought
You
it
do.
you do.
would. Yeah.
You really got to
Yeah,
work.
and
it.
you may hear ribs cracking, and that's okay, because we want Fred to talk about those broken ribs tomorrow.
Right, that's
okay?
exactly right.
Because we can fix that. They'll heal, but Fred's heart is not going to start by itself.
Hey, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
This is great.
This is
information.
awesome, but stick with us. In the next half hour, we're going to talk about the importance of AEDs.
Yes.
All right, we'll be right.
Wow. From creating celebrities for movies and television to surfing to shopping on Rodeo Drive, California has its own unique style. And now this includes supporting youth with mental health resources with a new mobile application. Here's more from KPBS Public Media.
California's Department of Healthcare Services created the mental health apps for kids, teens, and young adults.
It's really an opportunity to meet kids where they are in a safe space where they actually feel comfortable.
On their phones. It's part of California Governor Gavin Newsom's master plan for kids' mental health. A portion of that $4.6 billion state investment was used to create the free virtual platform, made up of 2 app-based programs, Bright Life Kids for children up to 12 years old, and Soluna for 13 to 25-year-olds.
Each of them offers free professional coaching with a live coach through in-app chat or video visits. We also offer telephone coaching in all Medi-Cal threshold languages in the state of California.
CDC data shows a nationwide increase of anxiety, depression, suicide, and self-harm among youth over the last decade. Autumn Boylan is a deputy director with the California Department of Health Services and says this platform is the state's strategy to address mounting issues facing California's youth.
About 1/3 of California adolescents express that they've experienced serious psychological distress between 2019 and 2021. And during that same time period, there was a 20% increase in adolescent suicide.
And to increase access to mental health resources for the over 13 million eligible youth.
There is a shortage of behavioral health providers in the state of California and nationally as well. And this really gives an opportunity for us to reach families by expanding the types of providers that are able to provide support across the delivery system.
San Diego Psychological Association president and psychologist Deborah Halliday, who is not directly involved with the project, says she thinks the platform will contribute to prevention.
How do we talk to people before it gets so bad? Let people feel that there's a supportive community that's out there to help them.
The apps took about 2 years to create and included input from over 300 youth in the development process. The state says both are secure, confidential, and all activity is supervised by licensed clinical practitioners. While both of the apps have direct access to crisis services, Halliday appreciates that they aren't just for crisis intervention. They can be used for everyday challenges.
There's a soft line. Do you just need to talk to somebody? Maybe you don't have suicidal thoughts, but you really are feeling alone. There's a button you can push and bam, you're talking to somebody. If you are having suicidal thoughts, you don't just have to go to the emergency room. You can talk to somebody. That's a whole nother line. So it's levels of acuity are being addressed.
Halliday offers this advice for parents.
When you're paying attention to your children, you'll be able to see signs. Are they withdrawing? Are they more teary-eyed? Are they no longer playing with the friends they used to? Are they ignoring attempts to come down for dinner? Are they completely addicted to their social media?
Both the Bright Life Kids and Soluna apps are available to download on any smartphone. For more information about the platform, go to calhope.org. Melissa May, KPBS News.
Way to go, California. Now, here in the United States, February celebrates the history of African Americans and their legacy, which is part of the fabric of this nation. Each day we air Soulivity Today, we will be airing moments of Black history to commemorate these great American heroes. Enjoy this clip, and we'll be back with more Soulivity Today in just a few moments.
As we continue our celebration of Black History Month, we introduce you to a physician whose mission is far more than the world of medicine. She wants not just good health for her patients, but for equity as well. Her name is Dr. Monica Peak, and we are pleased Dr. Peak is joining us live this morning. Thank you so much for your time, Doc.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, one thing interesting I was reading about kind of in your CV and your mission statement is, you know, you kind of touch on how so many non-medical factors, if you will, although mental health is medical, blah, it's all kind of medical, but diagnostician can't get an x-ray and fix it. How many factors factor into our health?
Yes.
Which I think is critically and not a way we typically think. Can you expound on that for me?
Absolutely. We have determined, sort of estimated, that only 20% of our health is determined by medical care.
Wow.
And the rest is determined by the environments in which we live, the health behaviors and choices that are sort of constrained by those environments, and many other factors. And so if we think about a person who may be living next to a toxic waste dump, or a person who's living in, a neighborhood with clean air and lots of green space and a fitness center right next door, the kinds of health opportunities that they have are vastly different. We know that, particularly in this country, that our insurance is tied primarily to employment. So if you're someone who doesn't have a job, you're much more likely to not have health insurance. Now, if you are really, really struggling, you may qualify for Medicaid, but there's still that sort of gap, which has only recently been filled with the Affordable Care Act opportunities.
Right.
But for most of the time, people would be uninsured. And so
Right.
there's just many, many ways in which the actual care of medical delivery is only a part of the issues that people have.
Right, so much socioeconomics at play, and there are still big holes with the Affordable Care Act, although it's filled some of the holes. What made little Dr. Pete, before you were Dr. Peak, become so thoughtful, so not only medically inclined, but with a bedside manner, with an empathy beyond that? Where was that born?
I would say that it started in my household. They're my parents. So my father was a Black history professor. My mother grew up during the Jim Crow era in the South. And she was actually asked to be the first one to integrate the University of Florida.
Wow.
And so both of them grew up in a time of really struggling for civil rights. So they weren't born with all of their rights. They had to fight for them. And so it was their children, me and my sister and my brother, we were the first ones who were born with all of our rights. And so the understanding that these things are not taken for granted, that where I am is a result of not just my parents, but entire generations of people who've been fighting for people, for my generation, and that I have a responsibility for future generations to keep pushing for equity and social justice, not just for people who look like me, but for any population that is struggling.
Yeah, and you have a message about that. Dr. Pete, watch the full story on her, done by my dear friend, Dorothy Tucker. Excellent piece, excellent work you are doing. Thank you for doing that. We've run out of time, had a couple more questions for you, but that's what happens with good conversation. Dr. Peak, thank you, good morning, and keep up the good work.
Thank you so much.
Hi there, this is Brian with Soulivity.com. I want to share some exciting news about our new Aspire Academy by Soulivity. Now, you probably want to know what the Aspire Academy by Soulivity is. Well, it exclusively connects you with people around the globe and who share the intense desire to improve themselves and create a better life for themselves today. There's classes, there's workshops, there's live events, and even more exclusively just for you. You see, I wanted you to have a safe space where you could grow, you can learn, and it would empower you in all aspects of your life, including your mind, your body, and your soul. So how do you get started? Well, it is so easy. First of all, the best part, joining Aspire Academy is absolutely free. Just click on the Join Now button, sign up, and begin your journey. As a special part of this invitation to you, there are some free courses that are available for you to try from our amazing roster of coaches and collaborators. It's our way of saying thank you for all of your support and being with us along our journey of expansion. I hope you enjoyed the Aspire Academy by Soulivity today. Start the process. Learn more about your passion, your purpose, and how to live a higher quality life. Hey, we're back here with more on Soulivity today as we look at some of the top stories in health and wellness for another Wellness Wednesday. Well, one of the most important but also overlooked aspects of health and wellness is regularly getting rest. Now, a new study from the American Academy of Sleep Medicine shows a deeper connection between our sleep and our overall well-being. Here's more from PBS NewsHour.
Getting a good night's sleep is easier said than done. According to the American Academy of Sleep Medicine, 50 to 70 million Americans struggle with chronic sleep disorders. We all have a 24-hour internal clock in our brains, a circadian rhythm. It regulates when we feel alert and when we feel sleepy. It also fosters other physical, mental, and behavioral changes. For example, what time of day you'll have the quickest reaction time, or the most muscle strength, or when the body releases melatonin to prepare for sleep. New research suggests that this near musical timing of the human body is crucial. Dr. Jennifer Martin is a professor at the UCLA Medical School and president of the American Academy of Sleep Medicine. Dr. Martin, what are we learning, or what have we learned, or what are we learning now about the relationship between sleep and overall health?
Well, it turns out that just about any aspect of health that we might consider is affected by how we sleep. How healthy our heart is, our mental health, our physical well-being, our ability to manage our weight and make healthy food choices, our immune system, our brain. As science evolves, we're just learning more and more about why those changes are occurring, and the promise really that a good night of sleep can help us stay healthy and well and live a good long life.
And it sounds like it's not just short term, that if you get good night's sleep, you're going to feel better the next day, and that in the short term, but also in the long term, there are health benefits?
Chronically, if someone isn't getting enough sleep, we see permanent changes in things like their metabolism, their blood pressure. And again, most of these things are reversible if you take care of your sleep over time. But a lot of folks, because of their work or personal life commitments, insufficient or poor sleep becomes a chronic problem.
We talked about the circadian rhythm sort of regulating sleep and alertness. How do you explain that there are people who do better in the morning than others? There are people who do better at night than others. Is that genetic? Is that environmental?
Some really smart scientists started noticing that night owls tend to be in the same family and morning people tend to be in the same family. So this is very much genetically determined. Most people are somewhere in the middle, so their internal clock is a little bit flexible, but there is a small percentage of people who are at the extremes, and no matter what they do, they really can't shift the timing of their sleep earlier or later, no matter how hard they try.
We talked earlier about the people who have chronic sleep disorders. What are the most common, and also has it changed over time?
Yeah, so the two most common sleep disorders in the United States right now are obstructive sleep apnea, which is a disorder where people have a hard time breathing while they're asleep. And the rates of sleep apnea very closely parallels rates of people being overweight or obese in the United States. That's a major cause of obstructive sleep apnea. The second most common sleep disorder is insomnia disorder. So that's a condition where people have a hard time sleeping more nights than not. This goes on for months or years. And no matter what they do, no matter how hard they try, they just can't sleep well or sleep enough.
Do you see disparities over these sleep disorders by gender, by race, by socioeconomic status?
Yeah, there are systematic differences. So obstructive sleep apnea is more common in men than in women. And as women get older, it's more common in older women than younger women. Insomnia disorder is more common in women than men. And both of these sleep disorders are more common in communities that experience socioeconomic disparities, low-income communities, communities from a number of racial and ethnic minority groups also experience higher rates of both insomnia and sleep apnea.
If someone were to come to you and say that they have trouble getting a good night's sleep, what's your advice?
Well, there are a few basic things. For somebody who's struggling, the most important thing is to reach out to a healthcare provider, explain what's going on, and ask for help. I think for most people, a few basic healthy sleep habits can be really important. Number one, just making sleep a priority. We all think about diet and exercise as important things we do to maintain our health. I think sleep should be right up there with those two.
Are there things that can be done on a government basis to help people get better sleep?
One is I live in the state of California, which has a law requiring high schools to start at 8:30 or later. Florida just passed a very similar law, and this really honors what happens to that circadian rhythm for teenagers, which is that they biologically shift to become more night owls. So I recently read something that was making the comment that asking a teenager to be at school at 7 o'clock in the morning is like asking their teacher to show up at 4:30. There's another kind of interesting debate going on right now about daylight savings time. Daylight savings time is a great name, but the truth is it doesn't change the sun going up and down on the horizon. It just changes the clock on the wall. And we know that in terms of health benefits, standard time is more aligned with our internal clocks.
You mentioned students and school starting times. What about in adults, workers who have to work the overnight shift?
Yeah, I see a fair number of patients who struggle because even when they come home at the end of their shift, they have a hard time sleeping during the day. Because again, we are naturally built, our circadian clock tells us to be awake when the sun is out. So when I work with folks who have to work overnight shifts, we try really hard to make sure we can protect their sleep time during the day and come up with a plan so that they don't feel like they have constant jet lag between the days that they're working and the days that they're not.
Dr. Jennifer Martin from the UCLA Medical School, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your interest.
So make sure you get your sleep, everyone. The supposed battle of the sexes has been going on for a long time. Well, a new study shows that when it comes to fitness, women are winning out in a way. Here's more from Good Morning America.
Now a big health headline this morning that women can get the same benefits as men from exercise, but with less effort. Eva. Eva, you got this is exciting news.
I mean, I love this headline, and you know, anytime us women can catch a break, I'm all for it, right? Sorry, guys. Yeah, so the study found that women who can see benefits with less time working out. The study looked at more than 400,000 people over 20 years. The researchers had people brisk walking or cycling and find 5 hours a week was the ideal, but women saw benefits at even 2.5 hours per week, yes. And that time really paying off for women. Those who were active saw a 24% lower risk of dying from any cause when compared to inactive women. For active men, the risk was 15% lower. And get this, when you look at muscle strengthening activities like weightlifting, women also saw a bigger reduction in their mortality risk, 19%. Compare that to 11% for men. And here is the thing, though, guys. The study found that men were more likely to do some sort of physical activity. So ladies, get out there. And of course, doctors say any activity helps. So even a quick walk moves you towards a healthier lifestyle. This is something that's accomplishable for all of us.
Yeah.
Great.
So it seems like we work out still and we still live shorter lives.
You know, there are moments that we should have our moment.
That is well played, Eva. Great job.
Give us a little clap on that.
Yeah.
Listen, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll have more of Soulivity Today in just a minute. You can find all of the Satana products at our Go shop at go.soulivity.com.
Have you ever asked the question, if I was to be anything, what would I be? Regardless of money, regardless of status, beyond popularity and fame. Living your passion, feeling your life has purpose. Soulivity is a space to nurture that which lives in all of us. A place where work can become play, and doing what we love creates the dreams of a lifetime.
Hey, we're back here with more on Soulivity Today as we look at some of the top stories in health and wellness for another Wellness Wednesday. An elderly man and a toddler meet up at a nursing home. Well, this may sound like the beginning of a joke, but it's actually happening in Seattle, Washington. PBS NewsHour did this story on how Mount Vernon Nursing Home has integrated a child care center with very surprising results. Enjoy.
A new report due out later this week from the National Institute on Early Education Research finds that a number of states are struggling to find ways to improve access to high-quality pre-kindergarten. Tonight, we look at a unique approach taken by a preschool in Seattle, Washington. It's giving children life lessons that go beyond the classroom and providing a unique opportunity to seniors. Special correspondent Kat Wise has our report. It's part of our Making the Grade series on education that airs every Tuesday.
What do you see?
A brown
A brown bear.
Mary McGovern is 95 years old, and one of her favorite things to do is to read to toddlers.
And what is that? A bird?
A bird.
A bird. What color is the bird?
Red.
Red. Everybody knows that.
Luckily for Mary, she doesn't need to go any further than down the hall to find her young friends.
Oh, see, look in here as the little kids see that.
Oh, yeah. McGovern lives at Providence Mount St. Vincent, a nursing home in Seattle, Washington that also houses a daycare for children up to 5 years of age.
Can you hand out a scarf? Thank you, honey. Thank you. There you go. Oh, thank you very much.
Butterfly.
Every weekday, 500 residents are joined by 125 children in the facility affectionately called the Mount.
Peekaboo. I see you.
Administrator Charlene Boyd.
We wanted
to create a place for people to come to live and not to come to die.
So in 1991, Boyd and other administrators added a high-quality preschool to the nursing home and created an intergenerational learning center, a community for the very old and very young.
Why is there this railing here?
This railing is here not for the kids, but it's here for residents. And it's a safety piece for a resident in a wheelchair to push themselves up and to hold on and to bring themselves to a standing position and watch the children through the window.
So they can stand here and look in.
They can stand here and look in. It's putting high quality childcare in a setting that links old and young together.
Say, have a nice day.
Making the magic between these two ages together, bringing joy to the residents and joy to those young children. It's just like this magical formula that happens every day.
Get a high five. There, she knows how to do a high five.
Most of them, they're curious about me, why you're here. I tell them I'm here because when I was living in my house, when I got too old, I wasn't always walking straight and sometimes I would fall. And if I fell, I had to have some help to get up because I couldn't get off the floor. I want to hug your baby doll.
I think there are things that both parties take away from the interaction. It's not like a lifelong relationship, but just for that moment in time, they're both enjoying each other's company and getting something out of their relationship with that person in that moment.
Another one, give me a hug. Come on, good hug.
All of us have common needs to be recognized. All of us have common need to be loved, and all of us have common needs to share life together. And so these children bring life and vibrancy and normalcy. It's a gift. It's a gift in exposing young families to the positive aspects of aging, and it's a gift of also having children seeing frailty, normalcy, and that's part of that full circle of life.
He rocks his treetops all day long, hopping and bopping and singing his song.
Intergenerational activities can be spontaneous or planned, like this sing-along.
There's 36 visits possible each week. So each classroom, 6 classrooms, has at least 3 visits, up to 6 visits.
In my heart.
The director of the center, Marie Hoover, says children become comfortable with elderly residents at an early age.
Whether they're in a wheelchair or in a walker, or maybe they're hard to understand, or you have to speak louder, it is just about who that individual is and they adjust. The kids just don't, they really don't blink an eye. This is normal. This is just who this resident is.
93-year-old Harriet Thompson joined this sing-along on her way to the dining hall.
I usually like to go sit down for a while before dinner, but I heard them singing, so in we went.
What do you experience internally when you're around these children?
Happiness. Just plain old happiness. You know, yeah.
Oh, isn't that warm your heart? Such a great success. Listen, we're going to take another quick break and we'll be back with more of Soulivity today in about 2 minutes.
Would you like to be one of the first people to experience mental freedom? Mental freedom is a coaching practice with 6 core principles: improving hope, self-efficacy, optimism, resilience, and general well-being. Mental freedom only takes 6 sessions. It is designed to give you the tools you need to help yourself. It can help with any situation: relationship problems, past trauma, career decisions, parenting challenges, addiction, and mental health concerns. Incorporating the mental freedom framework into your life will deliver an approach to master any situation and a pathway toward achieving inner peace. Mental freedom provides the information and tools that you need to grow and be bigger than anything that ever happens to you. So if you're looking for one-on-one or a group coaching program that will allow you to address any situation that comes up in your life with practical tools to give you more peace and joy, then join the Mental Freedom Program in Soulivity's Aspire Academy. There are very limited spots available, so don't delay. I hope to see you there.
Hey, we're back here with more on Soulivity today as we look at some of the top stories in health and wellness for another Wellness Wednesday. Now, in the past few weeks, we have learned about several high-profile men being affected by prostate cancer. I mean, this includes like the Secretary of Department of Defense, MLK's son. You know, this is one of the most curable cancers. So we put together this story that tells 7 important things about how you should know about prostate cancer. This is brought to you by Ochsner Health. Enjoy.
Hi, I am Dr. Florence Wright, and I'm the radiation oncologist at the St. Tammany Cancer Center in Covington, Louisiana. So if you or someone you know have been diagnosed with a prostate cancer, there is a lot of information and misinformation out there. Here are a few things you should know. Prostate cancer is a very common cancer in men. It's the most common cancer in men. About 1 in 8 men will develop a prostate cancer or be diagnosed with a prostate cancer during their lifetime. In general, the vast majority of them are very treatable, curable cancers. If an prostate cancer is aggressive enough and goes untreated, it can spread to the bone, cause painful bony disease. It can even cause fractures. So those are some of the reasons that we treat it. The way we test for prostate cancer and monitor progression of prostate cancer is usually through a blood test called the PSA, which stands for prostate-specific antigen. Every man with a prostate has some PSA in his blood, so just because you have any number on your blood test doesn't mean that you have a prostate cancer. And the number on your blood actually goes up as you age because the prostate has a tendency to get bigger and bigger and bigger as men age. It spills more and more and more of this PSA into the blood. When we have a prostate cancer produces more PSA than the normal prostate does. So basically we see that number in the blood go up higher than we would expect it to be based on the man's age and the size of the prostate. And that's one of the ways we screen for and then monitor prostate cancers. Talking to your doctor about whether or not it's appropriate for you to have a prostate screening is always a good idea. Particularly if you have a family history, any of the other men in your family, brothers, uncles, your father had prostate cancer, then you definitely want to talk to your doctor about when it's appropriate to start screening your PSA. So there's the traditional external beam radiation therapy where you come in daily, Monday through Friday, and it's a little dose of radiation going to the prostate every day over the course of about 6 weeks. Rarely do we have to do it for much longer than that. The other type of radiation therapy, which we're doing on the North Shore now, is called SBRT. And it stands for stereotactic body radiation therapy, but basically what it is it's bigger doses of radiation delivered fewer times. So instead of having to come in Monday through Friday for almost 6 weeks, we can treat you in just 5 treatments, which is a really big deal. We usually do it every other day, so it kind of works out to be about a week and a half of treatment instead of 6 weeks of treatment. It's not something that all men are candidates for, but for particular men with the appropriate grade of prostate cancer, stage of prostate cancer, and certain anatomical features, it's a really fantastic option. The internal type of radiation is called brachytherapy, and the way we perform that at Ochsner is through a small surgical procedure where you go into the operating room, you put to sleep, and they insert catheters directly into the prostate that deposit tiny, tiny radioactive seeds that stay in the prostate and deliver radiation from the inside out directly into the prostate tissue over the course of a few months. With that type of treatment, you are actually radioactive for a few months after the treatment. There are some precautions that you have to take. You can't be very close to pregnant women. You can't have children sitting on your lap for a few months after treatment. Sometimes spouses will have to keep a little bit of a distance also. And you have to be careful if you're doing any sort of international travel in the few months after your treatment, because you will actually be emitting radiation. There are sensors at the airport and other international borders that detect radiation. So if you are going to be traveling, you need to let us know so that we can give you a form stating that you are radioactive, how radioactive you should be at that given time, so that you don't get arrested on suspicion of terrorism. So the side effects for standard external beam radiation therapy can vary widely from patient to patient. Some men have virtually no side effects and are questioning whether or not we're turning the machine on. Some men can have some really significant side effects and have an impact on their quality of life. I would say most men fall kind of closer to the fewer side effects end of the spectrum, with some increased frequency of urination, maybe a little bit of pinching or burning when they pee, getting up more at night to go to the bathroom, maybe having to rush to get to the bathroom. And then some bowel side effects also, because the rectum's right there next to the prostate. You can have some increased frequency of bowel movements, maybe some urgency. Getting diarrhea is possible but not common. With the external radiation, the side effects usually don't start until maybe the second week of treatment, and then they slowly increase until after you're done, and then they improve. With the internal radiation, the side effects really peak immediately after you have your procedure done. And those are going to be similar things: increased frequency of urination, sometimes some burning when you pee, and having to rush to get to the bathroom or feeling like you have to pee all the time. And you can also get a little bit of blood in the urine after that procedure for a day or two. The rectal side effects can also happen: increased frequency or urgency of bowel movements, but those tend to improve slowly in the few weeks after your treatment. When prostate cancer still appears to be localized to just the prostate on all the staging studies that we get, a lot of men will have treatment options. So they're choosing between surgery, the different types of radiation, so there can be different things on the table. All of them tend to have approximately the same chance of cure. The treatment recommendation really depends a bit on the man. So all of the treatments tend to have an approximately equivalent chance of curing you, which is usually quite good. So what you're choosing between is the risks and the side effects. And the side effect profile and the risks are really unique to each type of treatment. I recommend you have a good in-depth conversation with your surgeon and your radiation oncologist on what they expect the risks to be. So if you haven't been to the doctor for a while, or if you have a family history of prostate cancer, definitely schedule an appointment with your primary care doctor to see if it's appropriate to get your prostate cancer screening done.
Remember, early detection is the key. Now, do you battle allergies as the seasons change? I really do. I mean, they're horrible from season to season. Well, here's a great story from ABC News on how to combat them with a little more ease and peace.
Time now for Tell It Like It Is, where Dr. Alok Patel shares some health advice on the topics that matter most to you. Today, we're talking about spring allergies. Here's Dr. Patel with more.
Spring is in the air, and so is grass pollen and mold at an inflammation party in my nose. Because like millions of Americans, I suffer from seasonal allergies, or allergic rhinitis, hay fever, annoying nose disease, whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm talking about, the red, itchy eyes, coughing, headaches. None of it is fun. But anyway, now that spring has sprung, let's bring into a conversation about seasonal allergies. First, some scientific nerdiness. Allergies are essentially your immune system overreacting to something that's seemingly normal, like pollen, and treating it like a dangerous invader. And when I said millions of people are affected, I meant it. According to the American College of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology, around 50 million Americans suffer from allergies. And this brings up a healthcare price tag of $18 billion per year. Prevention is key. Look up daily pollen and mold counts. Weather, location, even time of day can affect those numbers. And if you know what your triggers are and counts are high, you may want to reconsider your nature walk. Or if you have to do something like mow the lawn or garden, you could also wear an N95. And protect your home. During allergy season, it's a good idea to keep windows shut. Home air purifiers with HEPA filters can also help, as can HVAC systems. But allergens can also hitch a ride on you. So when you come home, change your clothes, wash your hair, wash your dogs, or keep them out of the bedroom. Also, this is even my dog. I borrowed him, but isn't he cute? Or try out my personal favorite, sinus irrigation. Oh, my beloved neti pot. Just make sure you use distilled or sterile water. Over-the-counter medications like antihistamines, decongestants, anti-allergy eye drops, nasal sprays can also help. In general, these meds are safe to try. Just make sure you carefully read the instructions, and if you need any guidance, you chat with a doctor. Speaking of doctors, if your symptoms really get out of hand, you want to see a doctor, specifically a board-certified allergist, who can help with symptom management, recommend new medications, or even perform a skin or blood test to identify specific allergens. See, my fellow spring butterflies, even with all the tree pollen like elm and hickory and all the grass, like Bermuda and Kentucky blue in the air, you can stay one step ahead of seasonal allergies or annoying nose disease.
And Dr. Alok Patel joins me live now to Tell It Like It Is. Dr. Patel, the symptoms are so similar, so how can you tell if it's allergies or a cold?
Diane, they are very similar. And listen, I'm not trying to method act right now, but I have burning, itchy eyes because I legitimately have seasonal allergies. What it basically comes down to is a certain kind of checklist that you can ask yourself to figure out if you have allergies or a cold. One of the first things is a fever. allergies are generally not going to cause a fever. They're also not going to cause body aches like we can see with the cold COVID-19 or the flu. A sore throat. This is different than that scratchy, tickling throat like the one I have. A sore throat is usually more with an infection. And also, Diane, timing of symptoms is really important. If people have symptoms lasting for about a week or two consistently, that is more consistent with an infection. Whereas with allergies, it's more related to the time that you're exposed to the allergens, because sometimes those symptoms can improve when you go indoors. And this can obviously help people with things like medication management, expecting when your symptoms will go away, and also knowing when to stay away from other people.
So what can you do about this? Sometimes you hear about allergy tests or shots. When is it time to look into those, and what are the options?
Well, the biggest thing to know is when you stop being able to manage allergies on your own with over-the-counter medications, or when it starts to really mess with your daily quality of life, it's time to see an allergist if you can. I mentioned the fact that some people have allergies that are so bad, they literally can't function. They can't do their daily tasks without having symptoms. Also, if your symptoms are lasting for several months out of a year, if you have worsening underlying symptoms such as asthma or getting chronic sinus infections, really bad symptoms, or like I mentioned, if those medications you're buying at the drugstore no longer work, it's a good idea to try to see an allergist. Allergists generally can do two things, one of which is allergy testing. So testing for a range of different allergens, even beyond seasonal allergens, testing for things like latex, different food allergies, or venom, or allergy testing, or I'm sorry, allergy shots, which is immunotherapy, Diane, which is almost analogous to a vaccine, where you're building up your immune system's tolerance over time to a specific allergen. And one cautionary note out there are a lot of allergy tests you can buy over the internet. These are not always accurate. You can get false positives, false negatives. So be wary of anything you see advertised. And when in doubt, chat with a doctor about those tests and what your best options are.
This feels like a major design flaw, that our body thinks it's appropriate to attack something that is around us every day and is actually harmless in and of itself. So is there sort of a big picture explanation for why that is and why they seem to be getting worse?
You know, I wish there was a clear-cut, big picture explanation. There are some evolutionary biologists out there who have theories, Diane, but you're absolutely right. Our immune systems are overreacting in some degree to many of the things out there in the environment. And one thing we have to pay attention to is climate change, which is actually worsening all of this. So there are some reports out there, for example, showing that as our planet gets warmer, the allergy season is getting longer. In some parts of the country, the pollen season is actually extending by up to 3 weeks. More allergens with more pollution and more CO2 levels also has an interaction that's terrible for our bodies. And as certain areas get warmer, what are plants going to do? They're going to migrate. So all of this put together with what you just mentioned, that we have this design flaw, if you will, means that we have to really start paying attention to not only global warming for a host of health reasons, but also how this is affecting our everyday life, as is the case with allergies, which affects 50 million or more Americans, not to mention countless people worldwide.
All right, Dr. Patel, we appreciate it as always. And
Yes, we do appreciate that. I will definitely be using some of those techniques, and I hope that you guys will be too. Listen, we're running out of time. Just want to make sure that we get to some shameless plugs here on Soulivity today. First and foremost, we want to make sure that you follow us on social media. We are on all the major platforms, including YouTube. Specifically, subscribe to our YouTube channel, where you can watch all of our Soulivity TV shows, including this one, Soulivity Today. They air every single day, all day, 24 hours a day. Also, remember to take Soulivity Today with you on your favorite podcast provider. You can download our shows and listen to them in your car or wherever you want. Listen, also,
so I want to welcome her, and we're
go
going to talk all things beauty.
Make sure you follow us for our Soulivity Today website, where you can watch and our live stream that goes on there, as well as all our content. Got some really, really great new articles there, especially on health equity, as well as just everyday kinds of things like how you can rest better while you're at work or at play. So glad that you joined us today for this Wellness Wednesday show. We want to bring you, news and information that you can really use, that'll help improve your life for the better, so you can create your best life today. That's what we're all about here at Soulivity. Also want to remind you that we've got some fantastic new shows coming up over the next couple of weeks. We'll have Ife Mora, who's coming back with us as part of our series on how to use somatic healing to manifest the life that you want. Also, some really special guests that are going to be on our shows in the upcoming weeks, as well as Tuesdays, we'll have more relationship advice with Melva Johnson. So you don't want to miss that. Remember to get your questions for her, on our site by visiting our Soulivity Facebook page and posting there, or emailing us directly at soulivity@soulivity.com for all of your relationship questions, and we'll make sure that we get Melva to answer those. Listen, again, we're kind of running out of time now. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate all the love and support that you've been giving Soulivity and this show here on our Soulivity channels and on KMET 1490 AM. This is what we do. We want to bring you, again, news and information that you can actually use and help you make better decisions, especially better life decisions around your health, your wellness. What do you want to do? What don't you want? What you want to avoid? And so you can bring some healthiness and some better lifestyle to you and your loved ones. Appreciate you being here. Again, this is how we do it, Monday through Friday, right here at 8 a.m. Eastern for our live stream on all of our Soulivity channels. Or if you're out on the West Coast, you can listen or even watch us at 8 a.m. Pacific time on KMET 1490 AM radio in Southern California. Listen, until next time, keep having real conversations with passion and purpose, and keep on pursuing that creation, that manifestation of a life full of high quality living. Something I'd like to say is your best life today. Again, thanks again. And for all of us, bye for now.
This work is subject to copyright owned by Affinity Global LLC. Any reproduction or republication of all or part of this is expressly prohibited unless Affinity Global LLC has explicitly granted its prior written consent. All other rights reserved.